Let's get it on!
Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon Insider, Sean and Tristan Ducross.
All right, everybody, what's up? Boy, so we are the Ducross brothers. I'm Tristan Ducross. Along my side, as always, is my partner in crime, the one and only Sean Ducross is right next to me. Welcome to our Twitch channel. First time back. And
First time user,
first time operator on this Twitch platform. So to everybody that's tuning in to us right now, appreciate the love. But we've been gone for a minute. Now we're back. We've had a lot of stuff happen to us. As you guys well know, is that we've had a lot of personal stuff that we've had to kind of go through and work out. But we're back. Tonight's the first night. Hopefully we can drive this train forward again and start giving you guys something fresh and something new again, besides the same old stuff that you hear on a daily basis. Right, Sean?
Right, and it was funny because while we were gone, I've got some new buddies and stuff like that, and I've shared our show with, and they're like, wow, when you say that you are different and not the common sounding podcast out there, they're like, you're not wrong. And so it's always good to hear that when you're getting ready to come back and you're getting that little itch, if you will. But talk about getting that itch to come back, Tristan. Let's just hit the ground
fans
running.
right now are just going.
And will the fans be going for the return of Bigfoot Silva at Gamebred FC2? Because that's one of the unique headlines. I mean, we'll get into everything else tonight. Because
dude, we have a jammed-packed show for the fans. So if you are a pro wrestling fan, an MMA fan, a boxing fan, we got a little bit of everything tonight for you guys.
So the big headlines coming into today, and I just wanted to touch on headlines and not topics and breakdown and stuff like that. No, I just wanted to hit a headline, and then get into the discussions later on in the show about previews and takes and all that stuff like that. So the headline, the two headlines that popped out today, one was, of course, combat, and then the other one was wrestling. The biggest one was, again, Bigfoot Silva coming, still transitioning into bare knuckle. And it's one of those things that when you look at the transition, he wasn't bare knuckle. He fought for BKFC against Gabriel Gonzaga and lost. And that fight was interesting because I went back and watched it. Okay, it was one of those things that, like, you know, some people are built for action, and you look at Gabriel Gonzaga and you look at Bigfoot Silva. Bigfoot Silva looked good in his bare knuckle debut up until the second round when he got clipped on the chin in what I thought was like one of the weakest shots I think I've ever seen.
But he's facing a guy named Alex Nicholson,
right?
Who, when I looked at this on paper, I'm thinking Big Silva needs an easy fight,
right?
Then I look at Alex Nicholson and I'm scratching my head like I feel bad for Bigfoot Silva because he has not fared well over the last couple of years.
Correct.
And going against Alex Nicholson will be no different, as this guy's a bruiser and has hands for bricks. This guy is going to throw bombs, and I just feel bad for Bigfoot Silva because I think this is the end of the road for him.
You would think that would be the end of the road, and you think that there would be a little bit of other issues for him, but you talk about Alex Nicholson. Alex Nicholson has not fared any better than Bigfoot Silva in recent. You're talking about Alex Nicholson, who's 1-3 in the last 4. His last bout came at a loss in PFL. You look at Bigfoot Silva, his last bout that dates back to his last, I guess you could say, win was back like in 2015 or 2017, something weird like that. And it's like, wait, what? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then the most recent loss was at BKFC. The only thing positive for Bigfoot Silva in this bout is the fact that he's going back to MMA, but bare knuckle MMA. And that's the thing I like about Game Bread FC is the fact that it's the thing that I like about Game Bread FC is the fact that you look at it and it brings it back to the grassroots days of no gloves. The raw and the realist of that of combat sports. I think Bigfoot Silva is going to get the W back.
In what world are you living in right now? Because I understand Silva, and you just broke down the stats, and I get it. But when I see age, long in the tooth, how do you perform in your last fight?
Right.
I just don't see Bigfoot Silva showing up. I think the time has passed him. As much as I want to see him regain at least a little bit of his glory, and I don't want to see a guy get destroyed on his feet or get brutalized or end up in AEW. So if you don't know, there's a spoiler for you.
Oh my goodness. I was hoping that those two guys, I mean, and we'll discuss it a little bit later because we actually got done watching AEW.
Dan Lambert did it at Impact.
But there's a difference. Dan Lambert did stuff with the low guys on the totem pole. And I'll say the low guys on the totem pole.
Colby Covington's right up there now.
Yeah, now. But that's a different discussion for a different time of the show.
Yes. But it'll be interesting to see if Bigfoot Sean comes out with a victor. It will be definitely a noteworthy fight. But it won't be a knockout, drag-out fight, right? It's going to end quick. Somebody's going to get their hand raised. That's going to be the way it is. But it's going to be a shocking victory. Either way you cut it, right? Either way you cut it. If Alex Nicholson walks out the champion, you're going to think that, well, he's the guy that took out Bigfoot Silva. If Bigfoot Silva knocks out Alex Nicholson, he's the guy that maybe has a little bit of hope left in his career.
And that's the thing. I think that's what you're looking at with Jorge Masvidal matchmaking this fight is because one of them's
weird
got
to see Jorge Masvidal matchmaking.
Well, I don't think he's necessarily matchmaking, but it's just weird to see
his
the fact that
promotion.
But he's always been about the money. He's always been about the high dollar. And then when you look at the transition, that I think this thought process between these two guys is somebody's got to get the W back.
Absolutely.
Somebody's got to get the W.
Somebody has to get their career back on track, and that's the way that I see it. But something that got their career kind of derailed this weekend in Los Angeles at Resurgence in New Japan Wrestling. See, we go from MMA to pro wrestling, and they're going to go into a break and come back out. And we got AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Rampage debuted. We got All Elite Dynamite that happened tonight.
Shocking numbers, too.
Right.
On a Friday night.
On a Friday night at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, it blew all expectations out of the water for me. We're talking about 3 wrestling matches on Rampage. But we'll talk about that coming out of the break. But Tanahashi from New Japan beat Lance Archer for the United States title in Los Angeles at New Japan Resurgence at the dojo in LA.
God, dude, that sucks because I was hoping for Archer to have such a lengthy run. And then the one time you bring Tanahashi.
And yet he becomes a transitional champion.
Right, and you bring Tanahashi from Japan to the U.S. I mean, I get it. It makes sense because you're bringing an icon, if you will, from Japan to the U.S. and he captures the U.S. title. I guess it makes sense.
But does it make sense? Because, Sean, you look at Mox, right? Moxley was the longest reigning United States champion in New Japan history.
Yes.
Okay? He defended it in New Japan. He defended it in AEW. He showed up in other organizations, not defending it, but just showing up, carrying that strap in places. Loses it in I wouldn't say necessarily a great match against Lance Archer, but Lance Archer and him had a great match in New Japan before All Elite, so I thought they could get something out of that. But now that victory over Mox just looks like as if they didn't want to lose Moxley's strength. So they took the title off of him, put him on Lance Archer, had Lance Archer drop it to Tanahashi. And then you're going to bring Tanahashi over to the US, pass through the forbidden door, and fight on AEW. Who is Tanahashi going to fight for the United States defend the United States strap against?
Well, I mean, you've been hearing the discussion that Moxley has been chasing Tanahashi, even when he was a champion.
But he's been irrelevant in any buildup for any title shot right now.
Correct. But he cut a promo against Tanahashi that, hey, well, you got your title shot finally because you've been ducking him, and he got his title shot against Lance Archer. So, I mean, you can go ahead and segue into that about how he's been ducking Moxley and that maybe Moxley can go ahead and edge that, leverage that as the opportunity to get Tanahashi finally, because now you can't avoid him because he's a challenger. There's ways you can go to make it look like it's inevitable, the collision course. But when is that collision course going to happen? But I think Moxley right now is really in a place of purgatory, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like
He's stuck with Eddie Kingston.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, Eddie Kingston is an amazing talent, great on the mic, but they haven't really done anything with that tag team for one. They put him in a championship fight and they didn't get it done. So I can kind of see that purgatory comment fixing itself. But where does Lance Archer go from here?
Right.
Look, I've always had an issue with Lance, from Lance Archer to Lance Hoyt. He has a lot of the potential, but I just don't know why he can't put it together. I don't. He couldn't do it at Impact, did it for a little while in New Japan, but New Japan likes freak shows. So New Japan loves these tall, big guys that are athletic. But if you don't have a personality, how are you going to sell yourself?
Right.
When you cross over to the United States market, it's all about selling yourself.
That's the thing that I've had a problem with this Lance Archer, okay? Since Lance Hoyt in TNA.
Not even Jake could get him over.
Well, where is Jake?
That I don't know. And I'm worried about that because I don't want to think negative. But I just hope he didn't go down the well.
You're dumb. Go down the well. Oh, that well.
Yes, that well.
Oh.
Because he just kind of moved off of television, right?
Yeah.
Like there was no explanation why he was no longer by the side.
Yeah.
He just not showed up to television for the last, almost month now?
Yeah, kind of. But yeah, so my problem with Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, whatever you want to call him right now, my issue, Tristan, since in TNA with him was always about great look, physical attributes, but lacked the it. To me, he was always missing something. And I think that's why he didn't make it in WWE. I mean, he had in Impact, in TNA.
No, you're right. Impact, TNA is done with and off to the side.
No, but he was TNA. He wasn't.
Yes.
It was TNA Impact. But when he was with TNA, he had the Lance Hoyt mania. He had the moment, the one brief moment where he was so over, it was like Hulk Hogan and they missed the boat.
Yep.
And then it seemed like once you missed the boat, that was it.
See, I feel like Impact's doing that with Moose.
And then they've been doing that with Moose. They started with Moose, then they stopped with Moose. They started and they stopped.
Yep.
But it seems like with Archer, he had the big run in Japan, and that's where he made his name as the Murder Hawk, this big behemoth and monster. And then again comes the stateside, and it's like, cool look. like what you do. Not quite sure about you, buddy. We're going to give you Jake Roberts and hope he can help you put you over. But Jake Roberts didn't know really how to do that.
It's just like Brian Cage. Brian Cage has the physical tools, the look. He has like the WWE corporate look, right? Right. But yet, he has no charisma. He can't talk on the mic. They stick him with Taz. Taz can't even get him over.
Right.
Ricky Starks is the man that was leading that group and couldn't even get Brian Cage over. You have the same issue with Lance.
He even said that in his promo. He's like, dude, we couldn't even get you over. Like, what?
Right? He even brought up the fact that he's all, dude, you are as stale as a freaking penny. Like, I don't know what more you can do with these big guys. If you can't talk and you can't get yourself over, you're not going to move on anywhere. Period.
But that's the thing is, like, I was talking to you, I think it was last week, was that when you look at wrestling, and we'll go into a break here in a minute, just one last thing, because we're talking about the it factor. The one thing that's missing with, like, AEW, I feel like, is really groundbreaking ability to understand who your stars really are at the moment and figure out how to continuously push them. I don't like the idea of having like 30,000 titles. I don't. But I feel like they're not utilizing the secondary titles as much as they could to elevate certain talent. Like, if you're going to have Ricky Starks with the FTW, Ricky Starks has the whole package. He has the look.
But I think that's an irrelevant title. That's one title I hate.
And that's where I'm going with it, is that if you're going to have a title like the FTW title, have it legitimately mean something. Don't have it there as a hold me over title.
Oh, I was going to say, as Ryback said, as a prop.
Well, that too, because you defended it once, you lost it. It's now on Ricky Starks. But Ricky Starks has everything you look for. Maybe not as an elite, like, world champion.
God, that was Taz's title when Taz was where they weren't defending the ECW World Heavyweight title. Taz brought out the FTW because he was the fighting champion. He was the world champion.
But still was not a relevant title in ECW because of the fact that it was only defended against 3 other mates.
Yep.
So if you're going to bring this title, what? So in ECW, it was Taz and Sabu going back and forth with the FTW title. So circa 2021, our Sabu and our Taz is Brian Cage
and Ricky Starks.
Like so these two guys are going to feud over the FTW title for the next decade? Make this title mean something or get rid of it.
Yeah.
But Ricky Starks is the prototypical guy that I look on the roster right now that has the look, the charisma, the ability to talk. He looks like a leaner, meaner Rock, if you will. And he has all of it. But yet, you're
at least he doesn't rip off a lot of his catchphrases like somebody else in NXT.
Right. But you look at Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks needs a title that means something. So either make the FTW title mean something, or let him go after a secondary title. Logistically, you're not going to have him go against the Redeemer Miro.
No.
Stylistically, matchup makes no sense.
And the way, if you look at matchups right now, you're looking at Miro as the TNT champion, right? Mm-hmm. And the way that I look at Miro with this open challenge is that you're not going to beat him. So what kind of performance are you going to put on the plate against him?
Right.
So you get like Del Fuego. So we got more All Elite Wrestling talk. We got boxing talk. Manny Pacquiao is set to return. Is this it? Is this it for Manny? This matchup puts a little bit of people in doubt. We'll be right back after this break. Sit tight. We are the Ducross Brothers, the Sports Warriors. Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross, thank you guys for tuning us into tonight's first show back. Hopefully, we get the rust off and we keep going. We'll be right back. We are the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors. Wednesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are a new breed of combat sports talk show. We talk about Muay Thai, MMA, boxing, professional wrestling. We got you covered. We are Tristan and Sean Ducross, the Ducross Brothers Sports Warriors. We cross that line every single Wednesday. Hopefully, you guys can all tune in and join us Wednesdays right here on Twitch. All right, everybody, we are back. Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross, we're the Ducross Brothers. God, it feels good to be back on the mics. It really does. We've been gone for a minute due to personal stuff, but we're back now.
So if you're first time tuning us in, give us a follow here on Twitch as we start to transition to Twitch probably.
Right.
Give us a follow. But what we are is a combat sports podcast, talk show, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you want to call it. TV show, we got you.
And we talk about MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, whatever is hot, we'll talk about it. We also love talking about wrestling and bringing wrestling into our show as well. So that's what we are, Ducross Brothers. So thank you guys for tuning in to us tonight.
Yeah, so hit that follow button, follow us, and let's start growing this community right here on Twitch. In the meantime, Sean, AEW, speculation around the internet world. We have posted about it on our Instagram. We have posted about it on... Hold on, because we'll get to it. We will get to it. I promise you.
We're not going to talk
We're
about...
setting the narrative.
No, we're not going to talk about that one yet.
No, I'm just rubbing in the little narrative, okay? Okay? Can you let me do it?
For the first time?
Yes.
Sure.
Putting a little baby oil on this stuff to get the glisten going. The rumors are afoot. As our image says, the best in the world is yet to come, and your boys are back. AEW. And not only are we talking about the best in the world,
being us?
sure, yeah, I'll go with that.
Best in the world.
Best in the world. We did it in San Diego on ESPN. We were the first. We crossed over to Montreal. We did that the first. We've done this since day one. I almost felt like saying that we're day one-ish. But unfortunately, we don't have a cool last name like the Usos. But we don't.
No, but Ducross Brothers is not a bad name either.
Right. And that's why we go across the line, because it's like cut our name right in half and we got across the line. Yeah, no pun intended, just a little bit. But not only are we talking about the best in the world, Sean, something that hasn't happened in 20 years happened tonight. Do you know what it is?
Of course I know what it is because we watched it. But do they know what it is? Because you should have posted it on social media as soon as you got the letter.
Oh.
But
I was at work.
It doesn't matter. You have it easier than I do. But yet you dropped the ball. You fumbled it like Leon Lett.
In the snow?
In the snow.
Dude, that was Fat Boy
running in the wrong
direction.
direction.
Hey.
But I guess what's not running in the wrong direction is AEW Rampage making its debut on TNT on Friday night. Wow. Pulling in a number that was quite
impressive.
Right.
740,000. Sean, you should have kept going.
No, I wasn't going to say that at the same time. That was going to weird him out even more.
Dude, that was on point.
Yeah, no, that's why I had to stop. Like, no, that was too unison. That was too twin-like.
That was perfect. Perfect.
Nah, I'm good.
740,000 people tuned into AEW Rampage.
Right. Like,
so not only have they been consistently drawing a 1 million viewers on Wednesday nights, which will probably drop that tonight after tonight's episode because tonight's episode was
They had a lot
crazy.
going on tonight that was like, okay, like there was a lot of stuff that happened on AEW. Like if you haven't watched,
dude, it had
AEW
you on your seat.
for the first time in a while, and AEW has been hitting number after number after number. So what they did Friday night with their number, even though it was only 740,000, that was the prelude to what I'm thinking they're going to draw about 1 million tonight. Easy.
That's what I'm saying.
They're gonna crush another 1 million viewers again after the product they put out tonight.
I think what had happened, Sean, was that wrestling fans on Friday night, you had SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
All the SmackDown fans, they even drew from that because it was following SmackDown.
Right.
So people were still chomping at the bit like freaking little guys on freaking acid or something like that, waiting for somebody to, oh my God, I need my wrestling fix. Keep it going. And then they go right into Rampage, and there you go. You got, not only did you get your fix of SmackDown, but you got your fix of AEW that night too.
Yeah, so literally you can just transition.
Yeah, and it was smooth right on in.
Yeah.
But one match I do have to really talk about is what we kind of mentioned before the break. Miro.
Yeah, I didn't understand why you put Miro in against an undersized Fuego del Sol.
I can tell you why.
Ooh, to get a contract. Big whoop-de-doo. No. You could get a contract by via fighting somebody else.
Because look, no, you couldn't. You couldn't because Miro is the only one that has the open challenge. Miro is the only one that all comers come at me. Regardless of size, stature, doesn't matter. He's an open challenge, period. So for in Fuego del Sol, for him to come out and say, you know what? I don't care how big you are. I don't care how fast, how strong, how bad of a dude you are. I want that contract. I want to fight the baddest dude, knowing you ain't got a shot in hell to win the fight. But like I told you before, if you perform against Miro and you go from being just this guy, this athlete that is coasting, Del Sol builds the rings, mops the center, takes out the trash, is on being the elite. This is a guy that does everything for all elite.
I get it, but in this moment, you're building up Miro as this redeemer now. That's his gimmick.
Yep.
And he's a monster.
God's favorite child.
He's
that is
a monster among men in that ring. And the thing that with Miro is they have built him up like the behemoth that he is, that he should have been in WWE. But at some point, holding that TNT title is going to seem like it's obsolete in my eyes. Because story-wise, you got to keep building him as this brute. And they're doing it well. But ultimately, he needs to become the world champion to solidify everything that he is claimed to be. And that is the redeemer. Because he's redeeming himself from a poor gimmick in WWE, a poor run in WWE, a freaking horrible storyline between him and his wife and Bobby Lashley.
A suspect storyline when he came into the AEW as the best man.
He should have been a world champion in WWE when they gave him Matthew Rywalt and they were so over with Rusev Day.
Instead, now Reinwald is in Impact Wrestling as the Drama King with Deonna Purrazzo.
Which again makes sense. He's a good lackey. He's a good lackey that's going to help Deonna Purrazzo get even over even more.
I was just going to say that. What's that word, John? What's that word? Over.
Yes, and that's the biggest
in
thing.
In pro wrestling, it's all about the connect with the audience.
And that's the thing that I was talking to you about AEW Dynamite tonight. It's about the over. Who's really over right now? And if you're AEW, you've got to start listening to your fans. If you don't start listening to the fans that are in that arena,
they might turn.
you're going to start to lose them because one of the people that is so over is Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. Again, when you've got them singing "Whoa, whoa," throughout the whole song on their way out,
3 songs AEW have for 3 people that automatically get you over.
right?
Jungle Boy, Jurassic Express with the whoa sing along.
Yeah,
Judas, which you saw tonight with the fans singing Judas without any music, without any background, nothing. People holding up their phones just to read the lyrics. And then you have Wild Thing, which is Moxley and Kingston.
right. So I was hoping that they were going to put the titles on
so
Jurassic
close.
Express. So if you haven't seen it,
Close.
apologies. If you have seen it,
Then you know what we're talking about.
it was right there. It was the money grab. It was the moment. I'm
2 different
hoping-
times you could have turned the switch,
I'm,
right?
I'm hoping that the moment, though, comes at All Out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the moment comes at All Out because then that'll redeem what happened tonight. But now you got to tell a story of how can you make it look like Jurassic Express does not win the tournament.
If they don't win the tournament, the only people that I see that win that tournament is the Lucha Bros because of the story between Andrade. Oh my God.
El Idolo.
El Idolo. God, that's like a mouthful. I could never fully pronounce Undertaker. I just want to smash it together.
But see, that's the thing.
But if you build-
Lucha Brothers don't have to win that because of Andre El Idolo. Because if they lose that tournament, that tells the story between the Lucha Brothers and El Idolo because of the fact that then El Idolo could go, I told you, you can't win without me and you can't win with Pac. That continues to tell that narrative.
And if Idolo beats Pac at All Out, that will further that.
Because here's what's going to happen with that. And the writing's already on the wall. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, man, here's the way I see that story playing out, okay? So we've got Andrade and Pac at All Out, right?
Yes.
So we have them at All Out. We have the Lucha Bros in the tournament. So if the Lucha Bros lose, like I think they are, they'll lose. El Idolo says, well, Lucha Brothers, well, I told you you can't win without me by my side. So then you go into All Out. You have Pac versus Andrade. You have the Lucha Brothers come down to the ringside, not meaning to be a distraction to Pac.
But becomes a distraction to Pac.
El Idolo wins, walks out of All Out with Lucha Bros and him as the victor over Pac. And then, yes,
And then Sean,
maybe creates your new LWO.
the Latin World Order.
I don't think they'll go that route, but yet it'll be another clique, another group
Wasn't Guerrero part of the LWO?
at some point, I think, because Eddie Guerrero was. Eddie Guerrero's the
That's
one
what
that
I'm talking
started
about.
it.
That's who I'm talking about. Eddie Guerrero was LWO, right?
Yeah, he's the one that started it.
Who's with El Idolo?
Chavo. Chavo's
Who's the new face of Hispanic?
Andrade. And see,
You say writing's on the wall, but I'm telling you, if you really wanted to
There's
make
something-
professional wrestling great again, there is something here that you literally could go back.
Bully Ray has said it before, is that there's stuff that's right now in the face of Tony Khan
And
That
you
if-
literally could go different directions.
that if he pulls the trigger, it could go so many different avenues. Like they pulled the trigger and they took off the Impact title off of Kenny Omega, gave it to Christian. And then Christian's going to challenge Omega
At All Out.
We know he's not going to win the AEW title at All Out. We know that.
Do we?
Yes, we know that. Because we know what the outcome is already going in. CM Punk or Brian Danielson.
Depends on which name he's going by.
Brian Danielson, the American Dragon, shows up at All Out. We get the big payoff. The year ends with Kenny Omega versus either CM Punk or Brian Danielson
At Double or Nothing.
for the AEW World Title, and that's how the year wraps up.
I
Then
don't hate it. I don't hate it.
So, business-wise, you don't take the title off of Kenny Omega no matter how much. Oh my God, I'm starting to be Jim Cornette. I do not like his facials. I think he over dramatizes everything, and his mutton chops of looking like Triple H needs to be slapped off and shaved off. Stop looking like everybody else and be you. Stop with these goofy faces and just
You don't like
wrestle.
the jazz hands?
You know, for a guy who's as good as he is, it's funny because I swear he's got the same 3 moves like Sting has the same 4 moves now.
As you get older, moves get you over. You just stay with the recipe.
I get
Goldberg is spear, jackhammer. Spear, jackhammer. Brock
Sting-
Lesnar was suplex, F5.
that. And Sting is hand chop,
Punch, hand chop. Stinger
Score-
splash, Scorpion deathlock.
But for a guy who's not near the age of Sting
Sting
should not
is
have this-
62 years old, and look what he did tonight.
That's what I'm saying. But Kenny Omega should not have 5 moves. Like what the V-trigger.
1 winged angel.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
The thing that I don't like about Kenny Omega, but then again, I'm starting to not like all elite, the elite, is because how many times do you have to either rip off old wrestlers, like you saw the Ravishing Rick Rude,
Or the
You
Macho Man Randy Savage twirl.
right?
Like, what the?
Stop mocking other wrestlers. Be you. Have some originality, will you? Kenny Omega's trying to mock Triple H with the mutton chops. I don't get it. I don't. If you're as good as you are, get over by you doing you.
Right. Like, it's not really not that hard.
They're just a comedy act, a comedy joke, and they have the carny with him, too.
They're a parody of what wrestling is.
Yes. Yes. They are a parody of professional wrestling.
And you've got to move into what professional wrestling is when you've got all these other guys underneath them that are doing the right thing by the business. The Miros, the Stings, the Darby Allens, the other guys of the world over there, the Ricky Starks. You've got your core guys at the middle. Your Malachi Blacks.
Yeah, you're Cody Rhodes.
You're Cody Rhodes. That is the stigma of what wrestling is. And then you've got the guys at the top of the
Why are we
food
playing
chain.
a retirement angle with Cody Rhodes?
Because he's got a kid now.
I
wouldn't I
mi-
wouldn't mind if he did retire and went into the back.
and just stayed in the back.
Right. And wanted to do something to try to get AEW even bigger.
It's funny because he's the only one that I constantly see in the gorilla position with Tony Khan.
Right. But at some point, you got to put your foot down with these other guys
Yeah.
and say, hey, pump your brakes. We need to go in a different direction. It was fun while it lasted, but you guys need to go down on the bottom of the totem.
He has a kid. He has his reality TV show. I guess I could see it, but he got squashed by Malachi Black.
But it's Malachi Black. That was the best debut you could have had for a guy who was returning after leaving the WWE.
I'm building a new character,
it's just
building upon a character, I should say.
Well, it's just like AEW is right now is building the whole asylum of all the castaways from WWE, I guess you could say.
As Mark Henry would say, don't call him a castaway.
Right. But you look at the latest one on Twitter, Buddy Murphy, in the same asylum as
Thank
as
you for bringing
Malachi
that up.
Black
Thank
was.
you for bringing that up. Thank you. So, I'm going to look at you and say this. Whoever the hell is filming those vignettes that did it for Moxley, that's doing it for Murphy, that did it for Malachi Black, doing it right now for Ruby Soho. Oh my God. The creativity.
So she's called the Runaway,
Yes.
and that played on that of what her nickname was on the indie scene of the Runaway.
Yes. How or who are behind these vignettes, or how these wrestlers all of a sudden came together with this person? If somebody knows who's filming these vignettes, please get them and get them to us, because I need to talk to this person. Like this is pure genius.
It's gold, is what it is.
The writing, the videography, the style of it.
But
The way you can put the story together about why they are here or what they are doing to get to where they're going to be their destination is incredible.
right.
Because ultimately we know where their destination is. We know where they are going. But I'm so invested in what I am watching and what I am seeing that you and I talked about the Buddy Murphy one.
Right.
Even the devil himself is here.
Who's the devil himself?
I still either A, it's somebody else that's in that prison with Buddy Murphy, or
it's
like
going
I
to
told
be.
you,
It's going to be Wyatt.
yeah, it
gonna
could
be
be
Wyndham.
You say that it could be Wyndham. I said that it could play off of Vince McMahon.
No.
Because the prison was WWE. He got
Listen,
sentenced to
and
8
again-
years. Hold on. He got sentenced to 8 years and an additional 90 days. And even the devil himself is here.
The devil himself is here. Your logic is so vastly flawed, it is ridiculous. Because it is apparent 90 days and you got an additional 8.
No, you got 8 years.
Yes, and 90
With,
days.
which was in
Yeah.
the WWE, and you got a 90-day non-compete clause.
And even the devil himself is here. Even the devil himself is here. Your logic of saying, well, it could be Vince McMahon because the prison is reflective of WWE. Yes, it's reflective of the WWE. So why would Vince McMahon be the devil himself? No.
Why couldn't he be the warden?
Because you are tapping into the asylum of all these wrestlers who have been held hostage by the WWE. So the devil himself is here.
If you look at the Wyndham image, it's possible.
It means that there's another wrestler that is inside that asylum that is dubbed the devil. Only one person they're hinting at. Wyndham. Wyndham's the only guy that could be the devil.
And you know what I was
And if
just
he
thinking,
has the
Sean?
creative
Wyndham
mind-
has lost everybody in the WWE. Did you know that, Sean? His father was released. His brother was released. His wife was released.
Redbeard was released.
Redbeard was released. He lost his
Brody Lee.
he lost Brody Lee.
Right.
5 people in his life that was one constant in the WWE was gone. And many people, you don't want to think about mental health issues and stuff like that. You want to think that there was creative issues or whatever. There could have been both. But you put him in AEW, you bring Bo Dallas, you bring Redbeard. Can you think of that faction?
Right.
You talk about Wyndham being the devil. You bring the family back together. Why not? But somebody should kind of put their thoughts and their pennies, the pennies for their thoughts, because Manny Pacquiao returns, doesn't get Earl Spence. We'll be right back after this break. We got boxing talk. We're the Ducross brothers. I'm Tristan Ducross. This is my brother Sean Ducross. We'll be right back. Sit tight.
We are the Ducross brothers here on Twitch. Wednesday nights. Ideally, this is where the new platform is going to be. So make sure you check us out every Wednesday night at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, as well as what we are is a combat live sports podcast. We talk about combat sports, boxing, wrestling, you name it. We just have fun talking about it all.
All right, everybody. Short break. Coming on back. We are the Ducross brothers. Cross that line every Wednesday with us at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tristan Ducross, Sean Ducross. Hope you guys have been enjoying the show. First show back in months? So we're excited to be back. Hopefully you love the content. Hopefully you tuned in to us more. Fresh new take on combat sports. We're your boys. Right. Pro wrestling. We're like jack of all trades, master of none. We're going to give you a little bit of everything. So if you like tea, go ahead, get some tea. If you like whiskey, go get some whiskey. If you like some beer, go get some beer. But tune in to us every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on twitch.tv /the Ducross Brothers. In the meantime, shout outs to our sponsor. Forgot to do that earlier. I Love Auntie. You need some CBD. You need some CBD rub. You need the oils, the textures. You know it. Go to iloveauntie.com. Use promo code TheDucrossBros. Save 10%. If you like ESPN Plus, go ahead. Go to our Facebook. We got it pinned at the top. You could save it off the subscription for ESPN Plus. Just go to our Facebook page, The Ducross Brothers. You'll find us on there. You can get the link. Save some money on that subscription because apparently it's going up.
Right.
So you might need that subscription.
You might want to click on our code just to save you some.
Right. Follow us on Instagram, The Sports Warriors. Follow us at Twitter, at The Ducross Bros. We'll talk combat sports, professional, amateur, you name it. Star went down over the weekend. Looked like it was an incredible event. Wish we were there to see it. Shout out to our sponsored athletes. Sarek Shields won in his pro debut. Hell yeah. We got Shania Payne going, Sean, and she's going to make her amateur MMA debut, moving up from Pancration. She's a sponsored athlete, so Carl said, you go get that W, girl. But in the meantime, Manny Pacquiao is returning to the squared circle, and it's not against Earl Spence. And I'm almost torn about if this is good or not. Because the way that I look at Manny Pacquiao, right? Manny Pacquiao is this star, right?
Yeah, he's the A side.
Earl Spence gets a magical eye injury. Good, bad? Like, how do you feel about that first? How do you feel about that eye injury?
It looked bad. And I hope he comes back and he's like, well, either way, I'm getting the winner of this fight. And I've been through worse. He's been through worse. The car accident was by far worse than a torn retina. So I wish him a speedy recovery. He's one of my favorite boxers right now.
Agreed.
But Manny Pacquiao's been out for 2 years. He's facing a guy named Ugas. And what's interesting about this guy, he doesn't pose the power threat that Spence would.
But he poses a threat.
And that's the thing where everybody's indifferent. He really does. Everybody seems like they're kind of split. Like, some is like, yeah, he poses a threat. Some say he doesn't pose a threat. Here's where I think he poses a threat, okay? I wish I could say, yeah, you know what? He's got the height advantage. He's got the reach advantage. But neither one of those has ever proven effective against Manny Pacquiao.
That's true.
Occasionally it has, and it has in a couple of his losses, but it's never been one of those things that he's like, oh, that guy's like 5 inches taller than me, and he has like 3 arms length. Like, no. He doesn't care. The thing where I think he has the advantage over Pacquiao is the fact that he's taking this fight on short notice. So Pacquiao was out there preparing for Earl Spence. Now he's preparing for a guy who subsequently has his world title to begin with.
Yep.
Newsflash, don't know if a lot of people knew that. Has his world title, the WBA super, what is it? The super featherweight title, I think is it, right? Welterweight title. Has a welterweight title that Manny Pacquiao has not lost.
True.
But he was taken from him because of the fact that at the end of the day, he went on his Manny Pacquiao leave.
Yes.
On his recess. And you look at it and you see now, I think that's what benefits Yugas. And the fact that Yugas was already preparing for a bout on this card. So all he did was
move up. Yeah.
So he was ready either way for whatever the outcome was. So for him to jump up, all he's got to do is keep his game plan in, while Manny Pacquiao has to alter his
plan. Keyword there, Sean. The thing that I've always thought when I see Manny Pacquiao fight, he's always trying to be the first guy to be first in most of his fights, right?
Yeah.
What did he, let's see how clear your mind is. What did he struggle against Floyd? What type of fighter is Floyd?
Defensive fighter.
Which means notoriously he is a counter fighter.
Yeah.
Floyd, counter fighter, uses his jab. Manny had a tough fight ahead of him. Yugas, similar fighter. He's a counter fighter and utilizes his jab a lot more effective.
Yes and no. So while he does like to be a little bit of a counter boxer and loves the jab and loves to try to keep the distance, he is also the same fighter that Manny Pacquiao is. They will both engage in medium striking combat.
Yep.
And they will both engage in flurries. The speed is at the edge of Manny Pacquiao still instead of Yugas.
But the jab will set it apart.
And that will be the key, that if Yugas wants to find success in this bout, will be sitting behind that jab. But Manny Pacquiao doesn't care. You can beat him up with a jab, but he's still going to find the way to get to the inside because he's a smart fighter.
But if you get eat up with that jab over and over and over, right, in the fight, if he doesn't sustain enough attack and enough aggression, Sean, from Manny Pacquiao's side, right?
Yeah.
Ugas has a shot at winning, does he not?
I think he has a shot on paper at.
You just don't think in reality he has none.
I don't. I don't think he's at the level.
See, I think Ugas does.
I don't think he's at the level of Manny Pacquiao. And we're so destined to have Manny Pacquiao versus Earl Spence at Dallas Stadium.
First show, Sean Beck, and you and I are split.
Right. But I've got Manny Pacquiao winning this probably in the 6th round.
I'm going Ugas.
What, Ugas by unanimous decision? Because he ain't knocking him out.
No. Dude, ain't nobody knocking anybody out in this fight.
But, you know, as we get ready to round out,
you said Manny's going to knock out Ugas.
So we didn't get to touch on UFC Fight Night that's coming up like we advertised. Sorry, folks. But one thing I did want to get to is, man, Roy McDonald needs to retire. I wanted to make sure I touch on that one.
4-6 in his last 10.
Right.
1-4 in his last 5 fights. Or 1-3 in his last 4.
Dating back to Bellator. Yep. And he was manhandled by Ray Cooper at PFL. He has not been the same since 2015. There was glimpses of hope.
16 years old, bro.
There was glimpses of hope that he was going to redeem himself. But it's like that took like 15 years off of him, that bout. It seems like now.
Man, we talk about long-term fighting. We've talked about the wear and tear on the body. For a guy that has been fighting since he was 16 at 32, has been in some wars, has been in some grueling tasks in fights, this guy, at points in fights, he looks disinterested. He looks
lethargic.
He just looks empty.
Like when he got taken down the 2 times, Tristan was like, you looked at his eyes.
And he
already
looked defeated.
My man. There you go. We did it at the same time. Happy about that one? Why do you get weird about that one, but when we were in unison earlier, you're like, oh, we should have kept going. And then we said it at the same time, you're like, oh, that's weird.
Payback.
Way to make that weird. Gave me crap for me not finishing the...
Do you want a hug? Do you want a hug? We can hug it out. We can hug it out. First show back.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, but Ryan McDonald should retire.
Yes.
Let's call it a day.
But we got a couple more minutes, Sean. Let's just briefly touch on the UFC Fight Night, Conier versus Gaslam.
All right.
Sean, this one, I look at it, right, as the battle of testament that one of these guys has to either fall out of the top 10 ranking or move up in the top 10. Gaslam is on the verge. He's like on the fringe right now that if he loses, he's out of the top 10. First time in years.
Well, you look at Cornier, and he was 1 win away from scoring a title shot before he lost to Robert Whittaker.
And he broke his arm in that fight.
And then you look at Kelvin Gastelum, he lost to Robert Whittaker. So neither one of these 2 guys, if they win, they're not getting a shot at the champion.
Not yet.
Like, they need to at least run
one more fight.
2 more.
Gaslam 2 more. Conier 1.
But whoever loses this is done. It's done. Like, they're going to be the new gatekeeper of the division.
Yes.
Simple as that.
But Kelvin Gastelum, for the second time, Sean, replaces Costa in a fight on short notice. It didn't end well for the first time.
But Tristan,
probably won't end well this time.
Since Gastelum lost to Adesanya in what was a competitive bout for a couple minutes, is that he's now 1-3.
Yeah.
1-3. If he wants to be, how do you say his name?
Conier.
If he has any chance to beat him, he has to get the fight to the ground and make this a brawling fight.
Right.
He cannot stand in front of the power of Cornier. Then you look at that. Then you look at the next bout is the co-main event: Clay Guida versus Mark Madsen. Like, why? Madsen is undefeated. He's a Roman Greco wrestler, Olympian, who's 11-0 against Clay Guida. We all know the outcome of that one. Sorry, Clay Guida. Love your energy. Love your hair. Love the fact that you go for broke every 2 seconds.
But Sean, Clay Guida will remain the tough guy against Madsen, right?
But not if he gets taken down over and over again, because his takedown defense is not that great, especially not against a world-class wrestler.
Right. But for Madsen, if he beats Clay Guida,
that's a name in his cap.
Correct.
Yes.
So that means a ladder.
Right.
You know, kind of just that step up on that ladder, and he moves up that ladder. And it's easy to say that he's the most accomplished fighter that's on his record now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see Mark Madsen take on Clay Guida, because I swear to God, if I see another meme or another thing about Clay Guida and his burping, seriously, I'm over it. Really over it. That's like all I've seen right now of Clay Guida going into this fight is him belching in the corner. But we're the ducross brothers. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it. Tune us in to us Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with your boys, Tristan and Sean. Much respect to everybody that tuned in to us. Have a good night.
Follow us on Instagram at the.sportswarriors. Whatever it is. Just look up the Sports Warriors on Instagram. Give us a follow. We'll keep tabs on everybody. And thank you, Kimmy, Chatton, ML Rodriguez, Sleep Sake.
Kimmy, thank you guys for tuning in to us. Thank you for the chats. Until next time.
I'll get
we're out.
Tristan to be a little bit more active next chat.
First show back, bro. First show back. Think we did okay.
Yeah.
But we're the New Cross Brothers. Till
Give us
next
a follow
time.
over here.
Yes, give us a follow on here, on this platform. Catch you all next time.
Let's get it on! Sprawl and brawl, ground and pound. Get ready for an MMA showdown. Now, the ultimate Octagon Insider, Sean and Tristan Ducross.